com, and I've probably never said this one before, the orderedge.com, which is pretty well our rebranded Substack account. So what's going on these days? Hopefully, I'm hoping that you watched my C++ video. We've got a kind of, I'll call it an internal trading system, C++, built with C++ and a pretty big, highly dependent JavaScript front end. I did a video on that, 90 minutes, demoing that capability. It's pretty good. The big part of it is to be able to take our working trading bots and convert them into C++. Therefore, that is why we have a C++ focus on tonight. So I'm just looking at the details. For those that watch this, there will be big price increases coming up. For instance, we're only going to have the one course available because we focus only on futures and option on futures. We've got a big course on that, 26-step course that focuses on that. That's going to be going up. Hopefully you're sitting down for this. Up 20 times the value of it now. So that will be happening in the next few days. We're trying to go institutional and focusing on institutions based upon where my materials focused on. So there's that, and obviously there's a big now low latency focus. I wouldn't say high frequency trading, but high frequency trading like C++ capabilities with this system that I demoed kind of on this 90-minute video. Anyway, so let's get into the topics. Let me know if you can hear me as well. All right, so here's the topics we've got. So I did a tiny, hello, how are you? I know who you are. Thank you for joining. Appreciate your commenting, making sure that the comments are live. Okay, so I don't know where these numbers came from the description of the webinar. I would say 68% of people on my YouTube want C++, and the balance wants Python. So I'll leave that at. Now, if you've been watching me for the last couple of months, I've got a spreadsheet that's generated by AI. Can generate now approaching 3,000 complete strategies from mid-April till now in mid-July. Out of that, maybe 10% of them are somewhat profitable. I've created a pre-market report that will showcase maybe 30 to 50 of those strategies can be deployable, and it just depends on market conditions and the assets that are trading. They only focus on highly liquid assets, and that's measured by, if you go to barchart.com, just type in Google whatever, bar chart, most active futures, you'll see the first page. That'll bring up all your most liquid assets, which is usually going to be S&P, NASDAQ, no matter what direction it goes with, as well, along with Treasury as well. So the data science is still kind of there with Python. If you got questions or comments, let me know. With the data science, it's still there. I'm just using AI. When I built this trading system, I only spent maybe $200 at the majority of it, and maybe another $100 for debugging. The GLM 5.2 worked beautifully. Okay, the GLM 5.2 worked beautifully to generate C++, which is great. It was very capable of Opus 4.8 for debugging, for designing the system, but you got to know what to put in your feeds. So there's that. Also, what matters is as the project gets bigger, then GLM starts to break down. That was part of the problem, and that was about 75% way into the project. I was using Klein, the extension for AI tool, with VS Code. It worked all fine. and then it just started giving me messages saying you need an agentic base model, blah blah blah. The GLM 5.2 couldn't hack it, so then I ended up having to finish off the job with either Haiku 4.5 or the odd Sonnet 4.6 or whatever it was to finish off the debugging. But 75% of the project I could completely do debugging, coding, scaffold, whole 9 yards. I was able to do with GLM 5.2. I've now been testing the latest on Minimax, which is from China, and I'm also testing out the latest of Kimi as well, because I don't know, a lot of people may not know, but Kimi is trying to follow through with what Opus is at with its own Claude Code equivalent. They also have a reasoning model as well, and it's very low cost. That's all I could say. It's way cheaper than any of the US-based AI out of these states, and it's probably much cheaper, and we're getting to a point to comfortably say it's getting very capable. I mean, you started to see Fable come around with the Sonnet 5. We also got the latest round of OpenAI. I think they had to bring those out to stay ahead as much as possible of the Chinese AI, because it's getting to that level. But I think it'll be neck and neck very soon. Also, from a global perspective, Chinese AI, from a global market share, is gaining ground on the US-based AI. So wherever who's not using US AI, the balance will be used as China AI as well. And I've also used DeepSeek as well. So that's DeepSeek 4 Pro. Okay, so as I said, if you got comments or questions, let me know. So the back testing I've already built in. Hopefully you see my spreadsheets. You see my mega 700-page PDF I could generate with the full visual and the three month, 12, now 2 year back test with all the metrics and all that. I've got now layers to show what's liquid and what's tradable over the long run. So that's pretty well foolproof, and that's 100% done in Python. So when you look at the likes of Backtrader, Zipline, you don't need those dependencies anymore, because they're now all capable from, again, fully capable with just the old cheaper GLM 5.2. The only reason I'm going on about GLM 5.2 is because I've tested it. It's very capable, and it's still probably the cheapest Chinese AI out there I've seen for coding. I mean, in June I spent over $600 on AI costs, so I'm trying to obviously shave that back as much as I can. So yeah, I'm not going to deny that Python is still the undisputed king for research, for strategy development, alpha generation, okay? But the reason I kind of decided to now do this software where it can translate a workable, deployable Python, call it trading bot strategy, not self-contained, but it will always have to connect into the Rithmic Trading Gateway that I also built out courtesy of AI. Multiple of those have to connect into the gateway to work, because you can't do one-on-one with just like with Interactive Brokers TWS Trader Workstation. You can only have one connection of that into your account. So if you're going to have multiple strategies, multiple trading bots running, they all have to connect into this equivalent of a gateway. So as a result, what I did was, as part of the design and the prompting, you got to be very good at this. And I'm realizing a lot of people are not all that great at prompting AI yet. What I notice is you can ask in your prompting for low latency architecture when the key, I won't call it secrets, but if you want to be successful at it, when you do your prompting, make sure you do not just use standard IO in your C++ calls. If you're going to do what I did for Windows only with Rithmic, unless you go into and I mentioned this before, on the Diamond API level with Rithmic, there's no Linux support unless you go again with Python, and I've been doing that for the last few months. So C++ at the lower grade, affordable grade, with the Rithmic API costs, which is not very much, you will have to pay or be stuck. Well, you'll be stuck on Windows, so it's Windows only. So that's the reason for Windows. So when you architect your software, you want to make sure it's no dependencies, no third-party dependencies at all, and that's standard I/O, because you're forcing the AI to write 100% non-dependent, no third-party dependencies, frameworks, or libraries in the C++ code, which makes it much more efficient. Also, if it comes down to it, I have tested it as well with other AI. If you are specifically implementing on very specific type of hardware, one of the builds I did not ask for in GLM, it built out highly efficient multi-threaded capabilities. So when I load up the executable, it will go looking for the number of available threads, and it'll automatically run separate threads on that. I didn't ask for that as part of the design, but it did do that. That's again with GLM. Now, with the determinism, that matters because you need predictability. And when you bring in the less code or dependent code, you can just depend upon it pretty well completely on the standard I/O. Now, there is a variety of hybrid solutions you can come up with this. What I would recommend is only, you can test everything in Python, but just 100% focus when it comes to execution. You can stick with Python quite easily. As I said, I only went with C++ because that's what my market wants me to talk about, my audience as well, for high frequency trading, even though, I mean, the code can easily be ready for high frequency trading if I wanted to and was willing to pay for it. But again, I'm just still retail. And that really comes down to, again, your account size and where you're deploying your code. Again, I'm focusing on futures and options on futures only. So if I'm doing, let's say, CME, maybe my end target at some point may be the CME Aurora data center. And then that's where you have a large account, like 500,000 with all the data feeds that come with it. Same with the ICE as well. So now, just so people understand, I have put out on my new website the orderbookedge.com. Again, theorderbookedge.com. As I said earlier, that prices will all increase by 3 times. So if you want to get on that, get a current membership for under $20. You won't get it cheaper there as well. Anyways, with that, I put up 2 explainers on the Substack notes. So if you go to that website, you'll see the notes section. Just go through that from today's notes. I put up 2 explainers on what I'm talking about here and the details of that. So here's what one of those explainers talked about. I am 100% convinced. I have no vested interest in what I'm about to say, okay? But I do think with what I saw with GLM 5.2, the capabilities it could now do with C++ and this so-called high-frequency trading capability and the debugging that comes with it, as we as software developers, unless we're developing for ourselves, the concept of our value has pretty well been zeroed out, meaning game over on that career path. I say that because nobody wants to talk about it, nobody wants to hear about it, but I am beyond convinced over the long term, when I say long term, it could be 6 months from now, that anybody is in this career path needs to be highly aware that there are very capable Chinese AI models out there that can do the job, not on the pennies, but if I'm able to design a complete system with a very sophisticated front end in JavaScript and HTML for under $200, fully debugged, I'll let you decide on your worth because that is capable. And again, that's with a very highly capable AI model. I'll just say that. So where do we go from there with knowing that potential? Well, as I said before, I think a lot of the big firms and small firms will eventually get rid of a lot of these type of jobs. And I say that because they don't need them. The ones that come in, coming out of schools, Ivy League schools with a PhD, they're going to be fantastic mathematicians. The coding's going to be kind of secondary, even third level. What really matters is your trading experience. Your trading experience will determine your value in these firms. And it's not on the research level, it's not going to be on the coding level. It will be on your capability to understand trading and to be able to look at trading strategies on the fly and be able to determine where the issues are when the data comes in and why a lot of these strategies break. So that means that you will have to be a highly capable portfolio manager if it's just one portfolio, maybe one strategy or one asset class. Those type of roles pay a million plus on average in the big firms. On top of that, as you move up and can handle that stress and that responsibility, you can move into multiple portfolios, and then you get into the 20, let's say 20 plus compensation packages as a serious multiple portfolio manager. Okay, a lot of people may not like to hear that, but when you conceptualize what I'm saying, you will understand what I'm meaning from a realistic standpoint. That's where the focus is going to be. And it could be focusing on C++ as the language, also the Python. But now where the AI is at, you could I have now got a program that will literally take a language and recompile it and fully create a self-contained exe file or executable on Windows in C++. That's where the AI is at now. I don't know what more to tell you on that. So we got the poll still running under the community section, so you can go in there and say what you want on that, on what you prefer, C++ or Python. So that's pretty well all I can really say about that. If you guys got questions or comments, let me know. I've been posting a lot of the trading related stuff on the new website. Again, that's orderbookedge.com, and I'm still doing the quantlabsnet.com. Here's how I conceptualize things for people that are interested in what I'm doing now. What I'm planning to do is I've got the other website, hftcode.com. If you're new to algorithmic trading, you're not a strong coder, you're in trading, want to learn about AI coding, what I would recommend is to get one of the lower priced little cheap things that I got on there for $50 or whatever it is. In there for interactive brokers, you will find a self-contained little package that you can run in Python with sample coding to be able to trade Forex, stock, crypto, whatever you want. This is about 4 different assets, 4 different types of strategies. You can then run that against Trader Workstation from Interactive Brokers. You can run it in paper trading at 0 cost. You just need an email. That's all you really need. And this little thing. There's tons of PDFs in there as well that will explain how to do it, because everything does come down to prompting. If you don't know how to properly prompt, you will not be successful down this path as well. And as I said before, I do think that this is going to be the future of software development, software engineering, architect, and the whole 9 yards. So there's that. So again, that's at hftcode.com. So what I'm planning to do now is to be able to take all the working, profitable, long-term, call them steady Eddie profitable trading strategies. I have found one, a NASDAQ mean-reverting strategy that has been working pretty good, beating the market since June, 1st of June. Seems to be a long-term winner. Thanks for the like. And what I'm going to do with that, or examples of that, I'm not going to release the code, okay? Because part of the problem here is when it comes to coding, and I'm working with Rithmic, they're probably the dominant futures market provider, execution platform. I can't provide anything. I can't reveal anything about their libraries. I'm just bound not to do that. It's part of their terms of service. But what I'm willing to do is if I have a working model or strategy, I can easily give you the trading rules, the conceptual, basically pseudocode, and then you can build your own automated trading strategy from that and be able to feed that as part of the prompt. And then you could also use the HFT coding samples from that to build out a basic trading system, and then to customize if you want to do features and options or whatever, using these pseudocode working strategies that are profitable, and they're already been back tested for the last couple of months. In fact, some of them can double your returns very quickly. I'm not going to go in that because then I'm getting into investing and all that. But that's where we're at. So I can tell you that type of service monthly is worth a lot of money. I'm looking at the value of at least 300 to 500 a month. If I go further and start focusing on active traders, big counts, this can be 1,000 a month, all the way up to 10,000 a month. And if I really wanted to design it in a smart way, which the AI did for me anyways, I could put a whole front end together and deploy that as a website, and then have the endpoints that you would log into on the API front, and then be able to get maybe the code, the research, and building out more pseudocode from that, and be able to feed into your own AI prompting to get your own equivalent trading system. Because one of the things I can't really get into as a one person show is supporting and all that. It's just something I'm not really into. I just don't want to even think about it. This type of service is those that are self-motivating, that really are active and take action on stuff. Because if you do that, the AI prompting, you can do a lot in very little showtime. I'm able to now bang out very dynamic trading bots, 10 a day, 20 a day now, and maybe one or two is deployable and tradable, and out of that lot could be big time winners for a very short period of time, or as I said, this NASDAQ mean-reverting strategy that will work great in a highly volatile environment. So being able to generate that with the pseudocode on top of all the quantitative equivalent research papers I can do as well. So I'm going to shut up now. If you guys got questions or comments, let me know. As I said, this is really types of streams is for you. Last one was I hate to say it was a dud. So if nobody's got questions and so on, I don't see the point of carrying on with this. But this stuff is for you. I do think, just to give as a heads up, I am intending to build out I'll call it an advertising machine. If it starts working, I will not have the need to go out and promote what I'm doing organically, meaning I will not need to do the streams live. I will not need to do as much content I'm pushing out. It's just bringing in the target market I want by advertising, and they come in, they opt in, and they go through a flow of emails from me. And if need be, I can do one-on-ones with them. So that will be potentially my new focus. So all these type of content and availability might go away in the next couple of months. So we'll see. Can't say that, but that's the intention of the target market. So I'm saying to folks, if you got questions about auto trading, algorithmic trading, high frequency trading, whatever, please let me know. Like ASAP, because I said I do this for you guys, you folks. Really, I should be saying. But if you got a question, let me know, because my last stream last week only lasted half an hour. There's literally nobody on it. So if you don't have questions, comments, hey, we can have another short stream tonight. So if you want in, do that. And as I said at the beginning, if you're sitting on the fence with what I'm doing, now's the time to act, because I don't think I'll be coming back to make stuff affordable anymore because my target market is, as I said, the shops, the trading shops, the firms, and the pro traders that are doing this stuff. They need help on the prompting. They need help on tweaking whatever they got, evaluating it, if it's long-term working, into unpredictable volatility that we've already had since this gerbil mind president has launched this war. We don't know. It's unpredictable, and it's really disruptive. So again, if you have questions or comments, let me know. I can definitely hold on and answer whatever comes in. If you got dialogue, let me know. I have no problem doing any of that. So if you guys got questions or comments, just let me know. I'll be waiting. Okay. There's not much more to present. I could blab on forever and ever. Amen. We've talked about the C++. If you've got questions about that, if you got questions about the process of transpiling from the Python to the C++, you can ask that. Please, now's the time. So let me know. Otherwise, we'll give it a... And just so you know, I've got a couple of firms already questioning what I'm doing. Competition, really. And I don't think I'll be partnering up with anybody on this. So if you got questions, let me know. Or comments, questions. I am willing to talk about whatever you'd like to know. I try to keep everything I'd say transparent to a point, but I've posted a lot of content on the New Edge, the capabilities, same on my group section as well. So if you got a question about the C++ stuff, this is kind of revolutionary. I don't know if people are already doing it. I've got the I don't like calling them bots anymore. That's a very, I hate saying it. That's a very juvenile way to call a working strategy. These capabilities could work for a lot of firms know about this stuff. I could talk about career if you like. Okay, so in the meantime, until I get a comment or a question, I don't know how many times I got to say that, but right now, from a career standpoint, as I said, the coding, all that is going to fall away, okay? I do know when I did a post on the rebranded website on Substack, I did get a big hit on solo quants. So that's going to be a thing. Anyways, can I ask what strategies are profitable right now? It's hard to say because every day is different. Every time a bomb's dropped in Iran, that's going to increase the price of oil. If Trump the next day, the gerbil mind that he is, says, oh, we got a peace deal in place, oil drops. What I can say right now, currently for July 14th, 2026, right now I do think that the markets want to run. I do think the markets want to move, the equity markets. The markets can drop, then all of a sudden everything moves. What I'm seeing are, let me see if I can pull it up. I do think copper is a long-term play. Okay, that right now, everyone's going on about US AI and blah, blah, blah. Data centers still need to be built in the UAE for AI. Okay, they'll be Chinese based. They're going to need copper regardless. So copper's a big play. I do think right now Japanese shorting is still a big deal. I can't talk about crypto because I don't know. Two types of strategies right there. Hopefully that'll help you out. Okay, so that was from HB Workstation 8713. Keep the questions coming in, guys. Keep them in, please, 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 please. I like this is what I love about it. So we got a question from Mustafa Alas. Sorry, 443. I love the math, but struggling at coding, so I use the AI in coding the algos. Okay, that is a good question. Let me explain something to you. From my various AI results, it's recognized that the new DeepSeek 4 Pro is capable on the, if you got the math, the scientific notation, all the formula stuff, DeepSeek's very capable to generate code from that, especially if you're trying to do C++. So you can do DeepSeek 4. It's not cheap, but it's much cheaper than the US AI. GLM 5.2 is very impressive. I can't say anything right now about the Kimi code because I just saw today there's Kimi code 2.7 code, and then there's Kimi code 2.7 EL. Okay, so that might be equivalent to GLM. Okay, that's on the coding front. But right now I have done it with DeepSeek 4 Pro, EL, and that does wonders on the coding front. So if you have, as an example, what you can do is you could upload a research paper in one of those AIs. This is a tip. So you just ask, as part of the prompt, please generate C++ code from this research paper that's attached, and attach the PDF. It will generate C++ code for you. So from there, what you can do is then you can reverse engineer your formulas into the C++. Now, if that's too complicated, which it can be, what I would do is I would do that in Python and just reverse engineer it. And in an actual fact, as a recommendation, what you can do is you can then, as part of your prompting, let's say you do it with DeepSeek, and you do it and ask for Python code. You can ask for the Python code to put a lot of comments in the code. Once you see the code, or let's say you ask in the Python, or sorry, as part of the prompting, what you can ask for, if you're going to upload a research paper, ask for the Python code and ask it to comment for each line in the code. And it should give you decent commenting, so you can see the breakdown of the code from your research paper, as an example. That's the most logical thing to do. Now, you could do it with more expensive US AI, like Opus, or now the Sonnet 5, or the other one. And then there's also the OpenAI stuff that's come out. I've not played with it because it's too expensive. It's over-engineered. But I think DeepSeek, from an affordable point of view, is a good example to do that. So yeah, that should help you out. If you guys got any other good comments or questions, let me know. That's great. It can be a beginner one as well, newbie. I want to help everybody. The hard part when it comes to algo trading, people ask me, where do I go? I'll tell them, go here on HFT code. I never hear from them again because they don't want to pay for it. But what they don't realize is that when you if you were to invoice yourself for all the time you spent, you will be well into the thousands, okay? So if you want to start with something that works, has a code base that works, those are examples to work from. Because trading on the whole skills, trading experience is number one. And one thing if you got questions or comments, let me know. I'll gladly talk about whatever you need. But one thing from a career perspective, you're getting into quant coding, quant research. No, those are the junior level positions now with AI. Where you want to go, as I said earlier, is portfolio management. And now you want to get into systematic portfolio management, which is what quant really is becoming. And the portfolio managers are going to be the top dogs in this futuristic coding operation. And the HFT firms know that. And I don't know how a lot of these firms work, but I do think there's going to be a lot of people lost in this. Or what will also happen is that there's all these pods that are built out, they're independent teams. They're going to be like going through the equivalent of a hazing phase. So let's say you got 10 trading pods that have X amount of capital, and like what was his name of GE in the early days, Jack Welch. He fire every year the lowest 20% of the employees. Those that don't perform get fired. So these single trading pods will need to compete against each other to keep their jobs and probably their careers. That's another concept I could see happening as well. So Miguel Pinto, 3412, asks, I'm doing my master's tests in algorithmic trading. I'm starting with pair trading between AMD and NVIDIA, but I really don't know how to implement the machine learning. Again, AI is your friend. If you use a fairly low-cost Chinese AI, again, with the HFT code, with the working code, that's the hardest part, is to get to an actual working code environment. Because it's fine to have as much simulated code or whatever you want. You need to use a cheaper, well, for you, Miguel, you just mentioned you use ChatGPT. There's much better AI out there. I've already mentioned DeepSeek as an example. The cheaper Chinese AI is what I would would focus on. But you need to get a working code base. You can get it from GitHub. You can get it off my hftcode.com, as I mentioned. But you need a working code base. Once you establish that, then you go into experimentation mode. Part of what I've also got as that coding code base is I've got strategies that work with Interactive Brokers on how to trade particular stock. So let's say, I think it is NVIDIA. So as part of that, you can go back in the NVIDIA and say, hey, AI, whatever model you or LM you use, here's a working example of a Python script that trades NVIDIA. Does the market data download for you? Also does the trading execution for you. That will work completely flawlessly with Trader Workstation. And as part of that prompting, you attach that working Python script. So as part of your prompting, as I said, you're supplying a working trading strategy with NVIDIA, and just say, I want to create a strategy that will do, as you asked, Miguel, pairs trading. And specifically say that in a working script, if it's Python, let's say. Because it's not working, you have to get the script to that point, and then you can have an advanced AI, Chinese AI like Genome 5.2, be able to get it the pairs trading working, and have it also download your other stock as well. In this case, AMD, and you can build out a little classic arbitrage, and you can reverse engineer it. As I told Mustafa, you can add commenting in it, even if you're new to coding. That's how effective it is, this AI. Like I said, I coded up a complete HFT-like trading system in 3 days. That equivalent coding would have taken me at least 6 months, maybe a year, on top of all the debugging that goes into that as well. I did it in 3 days under $200. So we're at that point now where AI can do all of this. So if you're doing it for self-learning, this is the path. And as I said earlier, you definitely want to use a cheaper AI, specifically from China. I don't know, if it's all about you wanting to save money, that's what I'd recommend. Kimi has just brought out their own open source equivalent of Claude Code. So you might want to look into that. KIMI 2.7. And I did see it. It is on GitHub. And I don't know what language it's built in, but it exists on the Kimi repository, KIMI, Chinese AI, where you can get the Claude Code equivalent and build out a Claude Code where you kind of own the code. So there is that. So I hate to say it, there's no excuse for not being able to succeed with it. Hopefully I'll answer that question, and also for you, Mustafa, as well. If you guys got questions, let me know. Also, coming back to HBS Workstation, I believe. The other thing, other strategies, again, I'm only focusing on futures and options. These are very complicated asset classes. If you're in the equity markets, I do think over time, especially if there's a correction and the markets get spooked, which could be long term, you will have issues concerning, that easy money where you go get a stock or a market index consistently going up. We may not get that. So everything's going to go mean reverting or range bound. A lot of people have been talking about everything's going to go range bound over the next few years. It did in the early 70s, so the market's barely moved. So that easy money might no longer exist. No problem, Miguel. Let me know if you got any other questions. If you got questions, I can try to help you out on the C++, the Python, the algo trading, as much as I can. But right now, I'm pretty content with the AI. Can do it. There's a lot of Luddites out there online, YouTube, whatnot, saying AI don't work. Personally, I don't think they've ever used AI, or they hate their AI. Like an example, we know of a guy out there on YouTube who's built out a whole website that's built around doing interview questions in C++ for a job. I already said that that career path is pretty well dead. Okay, it's not a path anymore. AI is going to displace a lot of these folks. So that's a threat to the guy, right? So obviously he's going to be going against AI because AI is going to change everything. It already has. So if you jump on board the AI, get working with the AI, get comfortable with the AI, experiment with the AI, it can work for you, guaranteed. I mean, look at what I've been building for the last year and a half. I couldn't do this on my own. There's no way. Then everyone goes, well, you got to trade it. Okay, or that's a fair statement because everyone says, but I can assure you some of the things that I'm seeing on LinkedIn, there are some kids out of China making quite a bit of money building out their own AI solutions for trading. And it could be not just in trading, it could be on sports betting markets, it could be on prediction markets, blah, 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 blah. But the AI helps you get there. It helps that you're an experienced programmer so you can understand the debugging front, but it's also very important to just experiment with AI, okay? It's beyond capable. And you want to do it on the cheaper, more affordable. I'm not a huge proponent of China, let's say, but their AI is very effective. As I said, very capable and very affordable. There's no longer an excuse. The key is knowing how to prompt. That's the key. If you guys got further questions or comments, let me know. I am here for thee. Thanks for the 2 likes, I guess. Appreciate it. So we're up to 42 minutes. I'd like to keep this going for at least an hour. Anybody out there watching got questions as well? Just so everybody knows, yeah, we're back to normal now because we had some big time email hiccups. Everything's back to normal now, and I'm running 2 separate websites, kind of 3. hftcode.com is the coding, as I mentioned. The newer one on Substack, the orderbookedge.com, and then the older one, quantlabsnet.com as well. So those are my 3 primary websites. So if you guys got questions about that, if you got questions about the HFT code, as I said earlier, I think the key now is prompting. So if I have a working strategy for folks that does really profit, obviously I'm not going to give away, we could call it, if you have the mother goose that lays the golden egg, you don't give away the goose, but I can give the odd golden egg to few people so that they have the pseudocode and feed that into the AI to build out their own solutions. Yet, what they could also do is customize and build upon that pseudocode as well. I might do an example one of Bitcoin. I'm just looking for the right strategy that's kind of working right now. Temporarily, it could be a short, it could be Japanese yen. I don't know. I have to analyze all that. If you guys have questions or comments, let me know. We had some good questions earlier. Don't mind helping those that want it. But as I said, you know, like my goal will be eventually institutional. So we'll see. Thank you again for the like. As again, I mean, obviously you want to join or subscribe to the YouTube channel to keep up to date. I do post in the channel section. Do you work in trading? I wouldn't call myself trading, but I do trade. I've got a big portfolio, as I said before, professionally managed. That's been flat for the last couple of months. People ask, do I do live trading? Yes, I do. I've stopped until I get, quote unquote, the perfectly engineered. I've got that now in place. I've been saying this for a while. Oh, I'll start trading for the last couple of months. I will not say anything until I'm actually trading. That's where that new website is going to be. Here's the thing about trading. When you run trades or active strategies in the market with real live money, all the back testing I've done is already taken care of. So all of the strategies that I want to run, that I can run with my account size, they'll run. I'm getting logs of data, market data, and I can assess that market data in real time. And I can get an AI to do that for me. And it will tell me, you need to improve this strategy here to execute this trade. If there's a new position, I can then again ask AI or have a running agent all the time telling me you need to do this with this open position, and here's the conditions to make profit. I can do that with AI now. So now that I have that capability, especially in C++, I can talk about it, document it as part of my trading experience. So that's what I've been holding off from now, because it's one thing to go out with an open position and you don't know what's happening to the data and when to optimize the strategy in real time. Yes, you can do that now. You can do that in Python and or C++. I've got this new system designed for that. So that's when I'll be able to go out into the world of trading. There's some strategies I would like to try, like copper. As I said, that's been consistently long-term moving up and outperforming the general S&P 500. And as I also said, I've got this NASDAQ mean-reverting strategy I'd like to try out as well. I'm not a big shorter at all. I don't like shorting. But if you did shorting for Japanese yen, especially for Bitcoin, you would have made a lot of cash in June with Bitcoin shorting. That was so predictable. If I showed you the back testing, a few of the Bitcoin charts on specific shorting back Bitcoin strategies, that was where the money was to be made in June. So yeah, I will go back into live trading. And now that this system is in place, I can now watch those positions and have them adjust in real time. That was never capable before AI. There's different forms of it, like genetic algorithms and things like that, but not being able to look at data and being able to recognize exit conditions and even entry conditions. So I've been purposely holding off on that, waiting for the good time to start deploying that. I feel that's the time now. So yes, I have done the trading. I'm not confident with the capabilities, so that's why I went back and did what I've done for the last couple of months now, and we're at that point now. One of the other things is, and that's a fair question, Miguel. The other thing is, when I was doing it, there was profit making, but I don't want to go out into a trading environment unless I'm beating the market, generating alpha, right? That's the problem. That's where I want to be. So Miguel says, I was trading before, but now I changed to long-term positions or swing trading and just stocks. I don't know if you're in stocks because of your account size or because it's easy. Basically, what you're doing is what you're saying is that you're kind of like trend following. That's not really a strategy, unfortunately, because you're trading with the crowd, and to be safe, you're better off just to put it into a market index, right? And you'll probably profit over the long run. So there is that as an option. So trying to beat the market, I think what you're trying to do is kind of hard to do, because if you're trying to put out short-term positions, consistently trying to beat the market, it's very difficult to do. That's why I switched over to futures and options. With futures and options, as part of this course I talked about, that's going to go up 20 times the price that it is right now. You can learn about using a future contract, and with that same asset, being able to basically using options to get infinite profit potential with a baseline, protect your downside as well at the same time, and that can be done even in the micros to protect yourself. Hello, Rithmic. Hopefully you're enjoying your new stuff that you got. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. So that's why I'm in futures and options, Miguel. I'm analyzing companies and buying, not really following any trading gurus or investors. Yeah, I did that 2 years ago, and I did okay, but that's kind of painful. I hate saying it, and I say that because you can do okay. I did okay. I did kind of beat the markets for a couple of weeks. Then this is all on Interactive Brokers, and then all broke down because good old Interactive Brokers just likes to do that with third parties, and that was with TradingView as well, like classic auto trading. This year I'm doing 120%. Is that 128% returns? Man, you should be. I should be learning and paying you to learn from. If that's the case, Miguel. But if you're doing that, stick to it. Yeah, man, that's pretty killer. If you got that, just returns over how long? This year, 128%. Man, get yourself a third party track record, verified, post it online. You'd be a self-made millionaire as well. So for 1 year, you're doing amazing. I don't know what your trading logic is, but that's pretty incredible. But as I was saying, the futures and options, yeah, man, it's and not just that, but you're also trading like the big boys, like the true high frequency trading firms as well. And plus, they're also buying like a ETF as well as part of an arbitrage, as an example. But I started with 3,600, not much. But dude, man, if you're getting those kind of returns, congrats. I salute you. I would strongly recommend you get a third-party account, post that online to synchronize with your broker. You could do very well just educating people. Definitely. I'd probably follow you for sure. Who's your broker? Are you using Interactive Brokers? Because it's one thing to say and do and post on the other. So yeah, I'd definitely do that. If you're just doing it for yourself, you're doing awesome. No need to watch me. So you're with Interactive Brokers. Good for you. Are you trading stocks and ETFs or just stocks? I'm sure you're doing great. But either way, that's amazing. There are people doing that. If you just traded gold, you could be doing really good. Part of the thing, just to be aware of, only stocks. I don't really like ETFs. Got it. If you know what you're doing, watching the players, that's fine. Yeah, I did that a few years ago. Mostly it was AMD. Yeah, that's awesome. So you're on top of that. That's great. As I said, I've got my portfolio professionally managed. That's why I don't trade stocks anymore. But one of the reasons why I'm in futures and options is because it covers everything. I do think that agricultural product, namely corn, corn and soybean. This is going back to what's going to move. Right now, if you watch the doom and gloomers on YouTube, especially the gold bugs going on about gold that's not really producing, what they're saying is food is going to be the next big gold. So let's say this war continues. If this war continues, as part of the production, what's really affected by everything is not oil, it's fertilization. And the timing is very critical right now in food production because without fertilizer, nothing gets harvested and nothing becomes produced. So then you get into a short supply, huge demand, cost of food goes up. So the basics like corn, wheat, soybean, and the like will go up in the futures contract by a lot. So that's what's predicted. So I do see that happening. As a hint, ETFs will help, and there are ETFs for it, but if you put options on it, man, you can make, and this is very predictable as well. There's no questions on it, and I'm seeing blurbs about that in Substack and the like as well. Going back to Miguel, no, I bought some Meta, and I'm also holding and losing some FMST. I'm not really familiar with FMST as a symbol. I haven't seen that. I'm sure I probably know about it, but F that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch the markets anymore. Only what I see in my reports, which will give me. I know the semiconductors have done very well right now, and that's the hot market. But I do think the hot market is going to be food. Food production is going to be highly affected. Foremost Clean Energy is really a small Canadian company. Ah, I remember that. Yeah, I think it's Toronto-based. Yeah, that small company. Yes, 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 yes. I heard about that a few months ago. Yeah, I can imagine that skyrocketing right now. Yes, yes, that's the little hot baby on the markets. I might have exposure on that for all I know. I don't look at my portfolio. Oh, they're a mining company, exploration. Yeah, they say the mining companies are going to do well, but it depends upon the cost of gold. And yes, uranium, I think over the long run will do well. Again, you could trade uranium in the futures market, but that's on the LM through the ICE. So I can't trade uranium on the CME. I think I could, but I do believe it's an ICE subscription. But you can trade it through Rithmic for sure, and that with the options could do. If you make profit on something, you add in your option strategies, you can magnify that profit potential by double, triple, much higher than you would get with a stock or an ETF. So, but it's not going really well, at least for now. That's with the uranium. Yeah, but I do think, as I said earlier, I think you'll be hearing more and more about food. Corn and wheat are the big ones. What I'm seeing in the reporting, but there's just not enough volume there yet to make it in my reports because it's not on the top things that you see being traded via volume. But yeah, definitely food related agriculture product will be the next red hot thing. So even if the markets close, even if the markets tank, like equity, everything else, food production I think will be the big one to watch. And anything related around probably oil in the long run. I think natural gas will do well towards the winter and cold weather. It kicks in. I also think what's the other one that I'm thinking of? The fertilizer as well could be a good trade as well. Miguel asks, do you know what is the best way to get a trading industry? Is the best way to get into trading industry or hedge funds? As a coder or as a trader? That's the question is, but everything's systematic. Anyways, as I said, if you go to hftcode.com, I've got a career one, an extra $20 for the extra PDFs. As a trader, everything's going automated now. So yeah, coding's going to be a big thing. I think there will be definitely a need as a trader, but the definition of a trader is more of a coder. Like a number of years ago, Goldman Sachs was a bank. Goldman Sachs was a trading operation. So Goldman Sachs in the last 10 years, maybe 7 years, they're no longer a bank. They're no longer a trading company. They're a software company because the majority of their staff are programmers. So even if you get in a JP Morgan, a couple other big banks, you have to know Python. So coding is a requirement. If you choose and accept that, then yeah, the HFT code stuff, one product. Actually, I got it listed at the bottom of the stream. You should be able to get it for like the $60 and it has the PDFs. The other thing is that a lot of people don't know from a career point of view, if you master something like C++ as a language to get places, what needs to be understood is each firm has their own set of criteria that they look for when they hire junior people. So for instance, if you're going into Renaissance Technologies, they don't care how much coding you need. They don't care how much math you need. What they look for is they're looking for problem solvers, how you think. That's their key priority. So if you're coming in from an Ivy League school, that's how they hire you. And other shops like Jane Street may be looking for coders to be going in as an intern and then showing your capabilities as part of the internship to be brought into as permanent staffing at Jane Street. So there's different requirements for each firm. it's not just a blanket approach to get into a firm. If you get into a firm, then that helps you get into another firm for sure. But from an entry level perspective, you have to be able to understand what each firm is looking for, so you can focus on those particular firms. The other thing that's critical with this that a lot of people don't talk about is once you're on a no-go from a career recruiting process, you most likely will never get approached again. Why? Because I've been hearing through different channels that there's now 10,000 people applying for all these types of positions. So if you get thrown into a bucket of don't bother calling this guy, they're going to have another 19,000 people to approach. And some of them are very good. One last thing I want to say about this. I have had, about a month ago, a guy, Russian, MIT, PhD. He can't find a job. He's struggling right now. That's how competitive it is. Let me repeat that again. An MIT, Masters of Institute Technologies, mathematician, PhD, is struggling to find work right now. And he's got HFT firm experience. That's how competitive it is. And also, AI is not helping you there as well. Not trying to discourage people from doing it. It's like trying to win a $10 million lottery ticket. But again, there's a career path of solo career, which brings me now to Snake J OBS question. Any recommendations for C++ resources, computer science at comp school? And again, for that, everything comes down, which I've been talking about. Please watch the beginning of this stream once it goes up and it's rendered. I've been talking about and everything and only that. What I recommend as a starting point, as I said, I'm not here to toot my own product, what I sell. But if you want to work in code base in Python, you would go with the thing at hftcode.com. That's all I can tell you. There are some good resources on GitHub, but the key is whatever you choose, you got to make sure it's a working code base, works with one of the major trading platforms, namely preferably with Interactive Brokers. If you find something like that, you can reverse engineer it and apply your changes using AI and then referencing the repository to help you as the base. You could do that as well, but you got to make sure that it actually works. So if you want to do that in Python, do that in C++. That's the best recommendation I can tell you. So Cryptorific asks, how does retail fit in? Where is the alpha we can access? Okay, so part of the problem is for you, Cryptorific, and anyone else, is that there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trading strategies. As you know, I can create Python strategies. I'm now using strategies. As I said, I'm not a big fan of using the word bots. Same thing to me anyways. So let me use the word strategy. So there's strategies, okay? Those are the retail type of strategies that will generate alpha. As I said before, it depends upon market conditions. Market conditions right now and will be very tough. So you have to understand the different types of strategies out there. And that's where this can help retail traders. What you need to figure out is what market regime are we dealing with? Right now, you are not getting trend following market regime anymore. Everything is becoming more range bound, meaning it's not up, it's not down, it's volatile. And it's range bound and it's really not either way. So, or you could also say the market's sideways. So it's not really returning much overall in any of the major markets out there. So in order to get around that, you have to more focus on mean reverting type of strategies that will follow a mean over a period of time, and that's where we're in. And it's kind of, I think, going to be around for a while, maybe a year, a couple of years, I don't know. So the more focus has to be on mean reverting strategies. So you have to understand that and be able to trade on the short side of things, when the markets are down, when to get out, when to reverse the strategy to more of an upswing position, upswing type of strategy. But it has to be mean reverting. Over the last couple of days, I talked about this NASDAQ mean reversion strategy. It's been doing very well for June and so far July because that's the general direction of NASDAQ. Will it beat the markets? Probably not, but at least keep you profitable and maybe even beat NASDAQ itself. I can't say, but so far it's been quite profitable as well. So understanding that can help you, but you have to know the market conditions, and you're part of my clan. Thank you for that. I can help you there. And as I mentioned earlier, that you may have missed, I'll be providing pseudocode for these workable strategies. That's what I'm aiming to provide now. If it's Bitcoin, NASDAQ, or whatever, if it works, I can provide the pseudocode and then just prompt the AI to develop that code for you into a working strategy system that you've built. So that's part of the plan for people that are part of my clan, if that makes sense. So Tobias Shavam asks, could one build a complete trading system using only Python? Done it. I'm now taking those trading systems in Python and converting them into Python. Did it in 3 days and working. I've talked about it in one of my videos. Meaning, of course, not in HFT, but being able to use WebSockets, building software, backtesting production models. Done it, been there. We're now in a more stable environment. Meaning, specifically, you can build high-frequency trading systems that are like high-frequency trading. Python, C++, yes, definitely. I've talked about that in this earlier stream. Can you use WebSockets? You could. I don't like them because they don't work. Once you start to lose data, depending upon your hardware, you're better off to use a message queuing system, which I've been using quite effectively. That really it doesn't really affect high frequency trading. I'm using Redis. That's working great. I've got various publisher subscriber models between all the connections between my server and each of my running strategies. It does not lose a heartbeat on anything on the connection over the strategy itself or multiple strategies and going into my provider, which is really Rithmic. So that's the recommendation instead of using WebSockets. Yes, and as I said, overall, watch my recent long form videos for what I'm doing. So yes, you can build software. I'm doing it in C++. I convert my working strategies from Python that have been heavily backtested, that have been liquidity proven, high volume proven, that are kind of profitable. I won't say that are generating alpha, but they've been fully backtested. So all of that's been done. As I said, again, Tobias is to watch my most recent long form videos. So then you got more specifically for for power trading startup. I'm not sure what you mean by power trading. Are you referring to like a lot of trading, high volume? Yes, that's all very possible. Again, it depends upon your hardware. In my case, as part of the prompting, and you use a very capable AI LLM, what can happen is if the AI knows that you have a GPU, a very specific type of GPU, if it's NVIDIA, AMD, whatever, the AI can actually take advantage of that hardware and develop the code for you for that particular hardware. You could even probably just give it the actual board name and it will develop and code up the optimized code for that particular board if you really want to get into that power. In terms of volume, again, I've built out a server-based system that will be a one-to-one connection between that server and the broker, if it's or a data provider like Rithmic. Can be done with Interactive Brokers as well, but I prefer Rithmic. And then be able to have that server serve up multiple trading strategies on the fly. On my system, I can dedicate up to 7 or 8 strategies, fully already implemented by the AI, and it's smart enough to be able to synchronize with my C++ strategies. As I said, I've got a whole video on walking you through that. That's been done, it's been proven. I can do that with Python, and now we're working towards that in C++. Only on Windows because of Rithmic and how that's working out. But if you want to go even more, then you get the Diamond API at Rithmic, and that can lead you into being true high frequency trading and the CME Aurora data center. I've talked about that too. I do believe that the AI is very capable of being able to develop that code for you as well. So Tobias says, the reason I ask is because I am an economist student working at a startup which does not seem to appreciate focusing on building good architecture and just using Claude. So I'm getting more. Redis changed their licensing using Valkey instead. Yes, you can use Valkey, but you can also use still older versions of Redis like 5 or 4. That's true open source, so you don't need the current version. The particular model or pattern you want to use is publisher subscriber. That's all you need. You don't need anything sophisticated from that. So there's that. And as I said, you can use Valkey as the alternative open source in-memory database as well. So, coming back to your startup, I don't know the technical knowledge of your founders. I do find that a lot of these are just, I don't know, college dropouts, guys that clean fish tanks. I don't know. I don't know their capabilities. Because if they have to understand trading itself, they also have to be fairly strong and very competent, not coders, but being able to truly architect a system, and on top of that, know how to fully debug those kind of systems. If the founders don't know that and they're just quote unquote vibe coders, I don't need to know about the startup because it's not going to be a startup. It's going to be a finish up, not a startup, a finish up. So for you, Tobias, continuing along into the programming and data engineering side of things. Again, just watch this stream itself once it's rendered, and you'll see all the stuff that I'm talking about in fairly detail. No problem. Thanks. Oh, I see. So you're talking about power markets, electricity markets, and Rithmic. No, I'm talking about Rithmic. You kind of got it. Just drop the A. Rithmic. RITHMIC. This is for futures and options. Okay. Yes, you can get into utility contracts on other exchanges that Rithmic supports. You probably can kind of do it on Interactive Brokers, but there's a boatload of problems with Interactive Brokers. For serious trading, that's where I go. You can look at any major futures broker globally or in the US, and usually one of the data providers they'll give you is Rithmic, RITHMIC. There's them, CQG. Rithmic's the cheaper one and the more popular one. But they also have an API option as well. Take it, plus the data, $140. You're good to go. And most future brokers will have it. I'm with EdgeClear. They've been excellent. And then they kind of helped me build a relationship with Rithmic as well. So that's the options. If you want to go into electricity markets or utility markets, that's where I go. Hopefully I'll help you out. So HBM Workstation asks, what is your prediction on USD CAD? Oh, that's a simple one. Canada is known, or at least the Canadian dollar is known as an oil market. Our economy here in Canada is built around oil. So the prediction, the markets of oil will affect our dollar. But our dear leader, Carney, is now promising to open up the oil markets to other markets in Asia, Korea, China, Japan, and the like, maybe even Europe. If that's the case, you can expect a stronger, hopefully stronger Canadian dollar in the long term. So it depends upon oil. Part of the other problem is because we have a dear leader like Mark Carney and a prior one like Trudeau, they're very heavily socialist, so they're not business friendly. So as a result, the Canadian dollar suffers as our economy suffers. There's hardly any foreign investment coming into this country, and that keeps our Canadian dollar more like a Canadian peso. I can tell you because I'm spending money on a big European trip for September, and I can tell you I'm getting killed off with the euro, and I'm specifically getting killed off with this the Swiss franc because the Swiss franc is skyrocketing. Meanwhile, the euro and the U.S. dollar can't keep up with the franc. And again, you can also trade the Swiss franc on the futures and options market as well. So the Canadian dollar, I'm not saying it's toast, but it's not. Or sorry, the Canadian peso. It really depends on oil and where oil goes. So if this overall war continues and there's needing to be alternative markets to explore, hopefully Canada will wake up and say, hey, that could help us. And then the dollar the Canadian peso will go up in value as well. So hopefully I'll help you out. Who's got other questions as well? This is good. I like. So 1.25, that's good. Oh, more questions. New people. Bingo, that's great. How can I run, again, Prirac 1174? How can I develop a profitable algo trading strategy for futures market? Geez, I've said this a couple times. Watch this stream. I talk about it all the time. I don't know your experience. You use C#. Exactly what I was going to get at. If you're C#, that's fine. I mostly focus on Python. I've been focusing on Python for the last 6 months. So I'm now transitioning more into C++. AI is very capable of C# as well. And in fact, because I'm on Windows, I should do everything in C#. So, but I prefer Python and C++. But what I would do if you're willing to move into either Python, maybe look at again, my website, hftcode.com. Again, I got the little products listed at the bottom of the stream. Okay, that's where you start. I would recommend, but you could still do quite a bit with C#. Again, if you're new, look for maybe a trading system in futures market on GitHub in C#, reverse engineer it, provide that link of the GitHub repository, and then be able to get the AI to do what you want. The key thing is that project has to work, has to connect into something like whatever broker. If it's Interactive Brokers, it has to work. It has to trade because the AI is going to give you code that breaks. So that's the key. That's why I recommend my thing as well. Do you know IBVSP? Unfortunately, no. I've heard. Again, that's for Brazil. For those that are, I've not heard of it. No. Do I think there's opportunities in Brazil? Let's just say, yeah, probably. Right now, from what I'm seeing, the Mexican peso and the Brazilian real should be doing okay. Those are growing markets, so definitely that's something to look at. Korea was doing well. Maybe Brazil might be the next one. I don't know, but I do know. Again, if you want to do the futures thing, look into Rithmic. I do know that they've got. I have no. I mean, probably thousands upon instruments that you can trade if you have access to it through your broker. I'm pretty sure you can get access to the Brazil markets. Now, I don't know if IBVSP is a futures contract, a coding project, or what. I don't know. I hate to say I don't know what it is. So I'm not sure if it can help you there. But hopefully I've also helped you out in the C# stuff or .NET. One of the nice things I will say about Rithmic, as I said, they've got a great .NET API option, specifically for C#. Again, obviously Windows only, but if you are ever interested in Python for Linux, that's the only route to go. But that's with protobuf, which can be pretty hard to do without advanced techniques, I'll just say. Because if you're trying to do it on your own, it could take you a long time with protobuf. Anyways, that's outside of your question, but I have done it successfully. But I'm just not going to talk about it here on the public domains. Anybody else got questions or comments? We've had some very good questions and broad-based questions as well. So like I said, for folks like Cryptorific, you can expect pseudocode from the working strategies. And what I would recommend is use, if you're new to everything, I would go with Python, okay? To learn about just general programming. Python is amazing when it comes to AI prompting and what you get out of AI with Python. If you're more advanced, I'm quite surprised on the C++ front. It's much better than it was like 3 months ago or 6 months ago, for sure. And yeah, so that's what I'm focusing on myself. And I'm doing that because I hope one day enough people will help me get to a larger account so I can do true HFT. I'd love to be able to do that and talk about it. Like, for instance, if you join a firm, you're going to have a non-disclosure agreement that will not enable you to talk about any of that stuff. I don't know what can be talked about, what can't be talked about. I know from a Rithmic standpoint, you can't talk about this stuff, but it's just their terms of service are very strict. So there's that. New guy, or new person, new sys, SystemMost. Oanda is another platform a friend built, complete trading strategy than using in Python. Yeah, I've worked with Python many years ago, or I've used Oanda many years ago. The question is, can you trust Oanda as is or not? My answer to that is no, because you have to understand about Oanda. They, at the time, they had a pretty good Python API. I was quite surprised with it. And I don't know where Oanda's at now, but at the time, because they're a Forex broker, and then there's this so-called CFD thing, those are not real McCoy products. They're not stocks. They're not, let's say, gold CFD. That's not a real gold asset. It's a modified, simulated CFD that sits on Oanda. So the question is, does Oanda manipulate that? I don't know. Would I trust it? Probably not. That's why I'm on the CME or going through Rithmic, because it's heavily regulated. So it cannot be manipulated by a broker or whoever. That's why I choose that. You can definitely build a trading system on Oanda. Now, in terms of questionable things, we'll just say about Oanda, let me say this. There's really two Oandas. There's a Swiss version of Oanda, which is their home base. They're heavily regulated in Switzerland. I know that as a fact. Then there's the international Oanda, and I don't know. I'll be asking questions on that. Who's regulating that? And that's, I believe, was it Latvia? So I don't know. Is it regulated? Probably not. So just understand if you're doing real trading. Now, if you're building just for fun and simulating trades, it's fine. No different than Interactive Brokers. But Interactive Brokers is, again, pretty regulated, and they have a very high trust reputation as well. So if you have something that's successful, you can then use AI to convert your connections and Python support from Oanda into Interactive Brokers quite easily. Dare I say, you could probably do it very easily from the Oanda package in Python to a decent package for Python supporting Interactive Brokers. So there's that. Hello, Algo Trader N7675 from Senegal. How are you doing from West Africa? We get people like you, and plus Kenya as well, which I know some of those markets or some of those countries are heavily restricted, unfortunately. Simosis, thanks for that info. I like IB as well. Interactive Brokers, no problem. Hopefully, if you have your friend, make sure they're watching around this time. I've got 1 hour and 24 minutes. So in around that time, just to see what I'm saying. But yeah, for fun, to learn, no problem. Interactive Brokers is the same. If you want to get serious with Interactive Brokers, to be truthful, the only asset classes I really trade on with Interactive Brokers is equity, stocks and ETF. Interactive brokers. Somebody asked about the problems at interactive brokers. I hope this gets automatically picked out by the AI and turned into a clip, a short clip, media clip. Here's the problem with interactive brokers. Okay, I want to make sure I get this cleared up. Interactive brokers, if you're trying to do, again, this could answer also your question, Algo Trader 7675. Depends upon your broker. If you're going to try to do high frequency trading with a retail broker, it's not high frequency trading, number one. And even though interactive brokers from the behind the scenes, there is a data center called Aurora Data Center in Aurora, Illinois, that is part of the ecosystem of the CME. NYSE also has their New York Stock Exchange one in New Jersey as well. So let's focus on the CME one, the Aurora. So the problem with interactive brokers is that they have two dedicated pipelines or network pipelines that go from their New Jersey data center into the CME. Okay, here's the problem with interactive brokers, and I can give you up to like a few weeks ago, the data will go into a stale data. It goes stale. If you have open positions where it goes into a state called stale, and you're sitting in the CME with a stale order or stale data, guess what? And that's in the CME Aurora data center. The problem is the high frequency trading shops are going to be looking for that and will take advantage of you and your open position. This is the problem with interactive brokers. So if you're passively trading ETFs, stocks in an automated way, you're fine. If you're trying to do it with something like futures and options, you have to be on a more serious provider like Rithmic, maybe CQG, but they're more expensive. But for the retail traders, Rithmic is kind of the only path I see. And their market data comes in very quickly. Same with the option data, same thing, no problem, unlike interactive brokers. And that happens a lot on interactive brokers via third-party software, So interactive brokers is fine for stock and equity, stock and ETF, no problem. But only that. Retail, Forex, I wouldn't recommend. I'm really challenged by their crypto because you're only really stuck on PAX, and that's really the only supported network they have. You're better off to go with another crypto retail exchange for that. But not to knock interactive brokers, but there's other problems as well. But that's the main one why I moved off of it in the last couple of weeks and only focus on Rithmic. I hope that helps people out. Can you trade HFT with C#? To be, as I said, to do C++, like here's the thing. If you're trying to do true, real, high frequency trading, the best thing, this is for Algo Trader N7675 in C#. Can you do high frequency trading? Some will argue no. The only platform or languages that are true high frequency trading and in the Aurora data centers I mentioned earlier is the only support there is going to be through hardware only, like FPGA, or very low level, highly customized Linux kernels in C++. That's true high frequency trading, okay? So that's, again, let me repeat, real high frequency trading through the CME Aurora data center, which is high frequency trading. So if you're trying to do that with C#, you're trying to do that with Python, it's not high frequency trading. But I will say it's high frequency trading like, okay? But if you truly want to go high frequency trading with C++ or FPGA, that's fine, but you better have a large account because as I said before, and the AI said it as well to confirm this, it's thousands upon thousands of dollars per month. So unless you have a fully working, fully bulletproof strategy that's consistently profitable to be higher in profit when you net it all out, with the data fee costs and the licensing and that strategy has to beat all that cost and still be profitable. Once you get to that point and it's high and very low level, then yeah. Again, the only two options: C++ or FPGA. There might be some new support for other languages, but if you're going to go through like a Rithmic, those are really your own. Well, C++ is really the only option, really. And again, that's going to be on a Linux environment that doesn't have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? That doesn't have a lot of the doesn't have a lot of the jitterness. Okay, so take that as it may. That's real high frequency trading. Lots of third-party sources out there through Twitter, through social media, YouTube. Will, oh, look at my thing, I'm high frequency trading. Those are BS con artists. I hate to tell you. That's just all I can tell you. So you can do high frequency trading like in C#, Python, kinda, which I'm doing now with C++, but I've already explained the true HFT. Hopefully I'll answer your question. So Algo Trader 7675 asks with a follow-up, best contract for a beginner in algo trading. Are you asking for a best contract in terms of futures and options contract? Which is, if that's the case, the most high volume, the top three are going to be your ES, which is the S&P 500, will be your NQ, which is NASDAQ, or your Treasury, whatever duration it is. As I say, if you want to know what the most liquid are, just go to bar chart, do a search query, bar chart most active future contracts. You'll get the list, and you'll see the by volume in a table. That's in real time as well. And do it during Chicago open market times as well. So that's pretty good. Good questions, really good. I'm very happy that we're here today. So if you got any questions as well for whatever C++, Python, high frequency, not high frequency trading, what do I think of trading, what do I think of investing, let me know. I'll answer them as best as I can and truthfully as I can as well. I have no issues with any of that stuff. No problem, Algo Trader N7675, and say hello back from Canada to Senegal as well. Does Rithmic have an API? Yes, it does. Has three, and a fourth one that's not talked about. The three, as I said, my setup is quite simple. Well, not simple. Actually, it's not complicated, but the understanding is complicated. When you go to, let's say, in my case, a very good futures broker, like EdgeClear out of Chicago, why I choose them is because of the hand holding. I said to them, I want Rithmic. And now I'm one of the rare guys asking for API. So what happens is you pay $40 a month for your API market data, okay? That can be low-level options as well. And then you have to pay an additional $100 per month for your API. So out of that, you'll have three separate choices in languages. You have the .NET one, which supports C#, obviously. You have the C++ one. And then you also have I can't remember the name of it, but it will support Python and JavaScript. All of those, and that's for an additional $100 per month. Out of everything I've looked at, that's the cheapest you'll get anywhere with the best market data as well. And you can also do all your execution through your broker via the Rithmic platform on that API. So once you, and you'll need, probably there's software called Rithmic Pro. There's two versions. It looks like it's from the 80s. And I mean, TWS from Interactive Brokers has been modernized, but this thing from Rithmic, but that's how you connect into, similar connecting into the TWS. Very similar. So if you want Linux support, you have to go with either Python or JavaScript, and then you're working with Protobuf. But that you get, there's Linux support, whereas the .NET and C++ are Windows only. Okay? So the unknown, very expensive fourth one is for if you eventually want to go into, as I said, the true high-frequency trading path into the Aurora data center known as, the Aurora data center from CME. And that gets very expensive. But as I said, I've already explained these scenarios you need to be part of that. It's not cheap. You're going into 5,000, 10,000 a month, depending upon what you want. And there's many, many custom feeds that you will not know about. I've known about them from almost a year ago via a unknown AI that told me all kinds of stuff about it. That's still on a pricier end of my website. They do exist, but you won't know about the data feeds. And they're for high frequency trading shops. They're not cheap. They're about 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 a month. So that's the ultimate option, but you have to have a large account, meaning you have to be a top-notch trader with at least one strategy that will generate consistent profit. So yes, there are those three lower tier APIs for the majority of us, but there is that special API that exists. Okay, again, I can't talk about them due to terms of service, but from what I've seen of all the different types of paths we've talked about Oanda, we've talked about interactive brokers. I hate that. Sorry, excuse me. But of all the paths that I've seen, and if you're going to go futures and options, and let me say this as well, the number one way to truly garner wealth in finance, to garner in investing, is this exact path I'm on now. Futures and options, and when I say options, options on futures with Rithmic, whatever futures broker you choose. That's the ultimate path with an API and their market data option. I'm hoping that helps you out. Yes, that's with the Rithmic API. And anyone from anywhere in the world can sign up for a US-based futures trading broker's account. Okay, you'll need a few $1,000s to kind of make a go of it. I think with mine, they suggested $2,500. Right now, between Interactive Brokers and this one, I have $8,000 sitting in both Interactive Brokers, evenly split between the two accounts. So Algo Trader said I made money. Outside of Miguel, I made money on EMD for 7 months by placing limit orders within the spread with smart adjustments but it's no longer working. There lies the problem. When you have one instrument that's doing well, you kind of need to understand how the market conditions play out. And they always change, and they're always changing now with the volatility. But there's always something that's profitable. As I said right now, copper's doing okay. Bitcoin may turn around. Some of the agriculture product may turn around. Although, let's say the equity drops a lot, and gold's not producing, silver's not producing. So there's always something out there that's producing in the futures and options. That's what I like about it. And you did that with the Rithmic API. Very good. So you know your stuff. That's awesome. So so that demonstrates that people are doing quite well on this path, but there's other people doing well in stocks. As long as the stocks, whatever you're watching, performs, and or you know what sectors are doing well as well. So I can't talk about that. I've been there, done that. To be honest, I just prefer futures and options. It's just more lucrative, more bulletproof as well to protect your downside. When you trade stocks, there's no downside protection. Look at IBM, it lost 26% in the last day. Poof. Another good example, I heard that the Korean stock market was doing great. A few days later, a week later, it dropped. So this is the problem. Cryptorific mentions Oracle. Yeah, I heard Oracle's getting killed. Yeah. So there you go. So if you're hanging on to things that you may think will do well, along comes some bad news, and boom, you get killed off. This is the problem but you could also say the same thing about the futures and options. But the benefit of options, see, when it comes to stock, you only have the only two things you can really watch, and you want to do well in stock, you have to watch forward-looking data, meaning the only two forward-looking metrics you have is either the stock analyst calls, if they say if it's a buy, strong buy, that's one option, forward-looking, and you just aggregate all of those available because there's APIs that do that. On top of the most successful one is guidance. If a company does not issue guidance at all, you will probably not do very well. Because a company that's very confident in their outlook will give guidance. Without that guidance, they will it's really you might as well just throw darts on a board in the dark. Because without that guidance, you're kind of blind. And from what I'm understanding about how analysts are working and the markets are working, they want to do with guidance. And even if that's the case, when the markets get bad like they are, many companies will not give guidance. So there's no longer forward-looking data you can use to see what a market or how a particular stock will do. As systemMost says, fundamentals for stocks, but that's what I'm referring to. Fundamentals is really only forward-looking. Okay, everything else is either for today or maybe the next week. But to do well in the markets, from what I see, is long-term. For like you got to have forward-looking data, and if you don't get either of those elements, you're not going to do well. Whereas with options, it's always forward-looking because that's what options are. You have implied volatility, so you can calculate the future volatility calls, and that can go out a full year. You can look at open interest to see the open interest on those particular options and contracts for the underlying forward future contracts. You can do all kinds of sophisticated trading, as I said, on the options and futures market. You don't get that with equity. Well, you can get that with crypto like Bitcoin and Ethereum because they're part of the CME and other altcoins as well. But unless you get strong forward-looking data, you will get smoked, especially if you don't know what the volatility is. Because all of the professional traders and big shops, market participants, be them the producers, be them sophisticated traders like market makers, hedge funds, and the like. Part of all my news reports that I put out tell you exactly how many quantity of option calls they're putting out. If it's a put or a call, that's a direction right there. And the number and the reason why they're doing it. And my AI thing can aggregate all that. I'm not saying it can predict the markets, but you get a very, very good gauge on where to trade because you have all that forward-looking data, and that won't disappear, okay? And not just that, but you can build out correlationships between certain assets, and if something happens in the oil, those traders will use something else to hedge against. And hedging is another very powerful strategy along with arbitrage. And you could do that in very sophisticated ways with both futures and options. But you need the account size to really pull it off. But fortunately, the CME are not idiots. They want the little players like me and you know, the $5,000, $10,000 account sizes to participate in the micro markets. So there's that as an option too. And they're high liquid as well, very high volume as well. That's why I like the futures and options market, because of that forward-looking data, and it's very sophisticated data. Okay, that's why another reason why I got out of the equity space. As I said, I've got portfolio managers now that do that for me, and to be honest, they're doing the same thing, no different than you. They work at a large bank. They probably running, I don't know, $500 million. Okay, and they just got better tools than me and you. But surprisingly, if I told you what they're using, if you're willing to spend a bit more money, you could use the same tools. But what they do is they focus on low volatile stocks or ETFs. Plus, they also focus on stocks that are not that are not so dependable on the economy. So they'll go into more defensives and the like, and low volume, and that has almost as little impact on the economy as possible. That's how my portfolio is positioned right now, and that's fine. But if you're trying to do this and beat the market at the same time in the equity space, I think it's a tough gig. But Miguel's proven me wrong, and I'm sure there's other people like that. One of the things that I will say, again, if you got questions or comments, let me know. If you look at any of my reports, they clearly say these particular type of strategies that have a spike will always come back down in a very short period of time. And as who was it that said they were dependent upon one instrument and it no longer works. So you got to know the timing on when to get out of that instrument and move on to the next performing instrument. And there's the shorting and the longing as well. So if you're there, you go from Algo Trader N7675 about this EMD. So that's an example what I'm talking about. So systemMost asks, where's the best place to start to get up to speed on options? As I said at the beginning of my stream, again, let it render and watch it again. I'm not here to promote my stuff, but I'll say this. My goal here is now to start focusing on institutions, small prop shops, small hedge funds, blah, 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 and very active pro traders with accounts of probably 50, maybe over 100,000. That's my focus coming down the pipes. But what I do have is a very fundamental course on futures and options that is institutional, exactly how the institutions do it. They've been doing this since probably the 70s and 80s. And they're still using the same strategies of arbitrage and hedging. Those are the two principal techniques. Market makers do it, and all the other participants do it. Specifically, commercial producers like airlines and oil, just as an example for hedging. So they've been doing that for a long time. So this course is a testament to time, and it focuses on this stuff. So you can learn from there if you go to under, as an example, if you don't mind me saying, quantlabsnet.com, and you look for the option more, and you'll see under their courses, the very first course listed is exactly that futures and options that I'm speaking about from an institutional point of view. That's the best place to learn, and that's the best place to know how to project things like open interest, things like hedging techniques, arbitrage, using those principles, Now again, you may need to have a bigger account for that, but you can definitely do hedging with a micro NQ against, let's say, a high producing ETF like SOX or SOX, which is obviously the semiconductors. There are all those techniques. And part of my analysis also in the news exactly goes on about that. That's what the institutions are trading in the millions and billions every day. And that's how they're doing it. So to understand that is to understand how the institutions are trading. That's the place to learn from my experience. So that's, I won't say it's the best place, but it's probably the most effective. And I was just going to say, it's right now $250. In a couple of days, that thing's going to go up to 20 times to 5K. Why? Because that course, when I run it through AI, asking for what the value of the whole content of that course, which is a lot, 26 steps. Every day you'll get a new step, very sophisticated with a video on there, blah, blah, blah. The AI said that course could probably be worth as much as 20K. But some of the other AI just says 3,000, 5,000. So that's where I'm pricing it at and targeting that kind of audience as well. So that's why I'm moving up that price 20 times. So if you want to learn, as I said at the beginning, now's the time. Because everything I'm doing is going up in value because of it. So I'll just say that if you want to learn institutional level futures and options on futures, because there's options on stock, and everyone thinks that 0-day expiry is the best place to go. My AI says no. That's where the amateurs go to trade and die financially. Some do well, that's fine. But generally, if you want to have a heart attack and trade like in a casino, well, that's probably the best place to go. So that's where I'm at with all this stuff. And I've already lost a couple of people on it as well. Whoops. But if you want to make money consistently, this kind of is the place to go as well. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, Mr. Or Synonymous. Yeah, so another example of a stock that you get killed on is like Oracle. And just in the last day, or IBM dropped 24%. So you could have given back your profit and probably lost money on top if you were one of these long-term investors. If you get good enough every day watching this stuff, the options are telling you things that retail traders will never pick up on. And let me also mention this as well. If you watch Mr. Tim Sykes as well, he's a classic at this on the penny stocks. SpaceX is another great example of this. When you look at SpaceX in the last few weeks, it was what, valued at $1.7 trillion. I knew it was going to drop back and people would lose a boatload of cash. The people that are making money on SpaceX are the people that get in very, very early before it does its IPO. So then you get the venture capitalists, you get folks like at my portfolio managers that offered me SpaceX maybe a year ago because they get it in the secondary markets. So they get access to that and you get your shares through that. If you participate on that, you probably got a 20, 30, 40% bump and then you get out. And then then the retail market, the dumb money comes in when it lists, they buy up the stock and they get killed. At the end, they get left holding the bag. How do you think the venture capitalists, how do you think the pre-IPO holders get out of the market? It's using the dumb money when it opens as liquidity comes in to exit the market. And then who's left holding the bag? Retail market, and then they lose a ton of money on SpaceX. It's very classic in all markets. If it's the futures market, it's the smart money buys up whatever, see what's going on, they know what's going on, and they set up all those positions. And then once the retail market catches on through the mainstream news, they'll buy in. Guess what? Smart money exits, and then same pattern happens again. The retail market gets killed because they're left holding the losing bag. And you know what? No offense, I could laugh and cry about it all at the same time because the retail traders need to know about this because if they don't, they're consistently going to lose money. That's why they have that 90-day rule where 90% of the retail crowd loses 90% of their profit within 90 days. And that's classic. If you're not knowing what the institutions are doing, you most likely are going to get killed. That's why they call it smart money. Retail crowd is in the dumb money bucket. I don't want to be in the dumb money bucket. I've been there, done that enough. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing in the futures and options market. Hate to rant on about that, but that's where we're at. And that's how you can avoid those liquidity traps on the exit on something like SpaceX and lose a boatload of cash. It shouldn't happen, but it happens because it's insider, the smart money doing this stuff. And it's in a lot of the markets right now. And right now, the big one is going to be, as I said earlier, corn, wheat. They're buying up all the options right now. And when the mainstream catches on in a couple of months, if these calls are correct, they exit and they use the retail cash to get out as liquidity to get out. And then again, the retail traders in the futures and options market get killed because they don't understand what's going on. Algo trader SN7675 What do you think of the concepts of Instagram traders like ICT, SMC? I've been following ICT for a long time. I can't sit here and say if he's a scammer or not. I just hear not good things about him. I'll just say that. If you are going to use traders like that as your crutch, you'll get killed. The only ones that are making money are the guys putting out these kind of products, courses, and the like. They're the ones making the money. And as I said, you're gonna fall into that dumb money retail trader crowd because you're not understanding what smart money is doing. So as I said, you need to understand how smart traders work and what smart money traders are setting up in their trades in the futures and options market. Very sophisticated types of traders. As I said, down the road, if the calls are right, which they usually are, that's when the retail markets come in and they get killed all the time, all day, all night. And that's how the smart money keeps making money, and the retail / dumb money don't make money. That's just how it's set up. I can't do anything about it. I'm just telling you the truth. And there's other brokers, large brokers, that are very well known to do that. And again, I'm not going to talk about them because I don't need pending lawsuits over it. But there are good brokers out there, like Interactive Brokers, that don't go into this nonsense stuff. But sorry, but as I said, the Instagram traders, whatever, TikTok, whatever, all the same, unfortunately. Because you can't use those traders as your crutch to build quote unquote wealth. They're conners, simple as that. Here's what you need to ask yourself. If these guys are making so much money, and they have this secret sauce, trading strategy indicator or whatever, yeah, hello, Miguel. How are you? Got questions? Ask them. I'm surprised. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. But coming back to those traders, so-called trader experts, if they are all experts, where's their third-party verified track record? You ask them, they run away, or they won't. They don't have those track records because they're not real traders. They'd be posting on legit trading journaling software sites, showcase all their trades. They don't because they're not very good. One I think is called kinfo.com, I believe. Very legit trading journaling software, and there's a few on there that are listed on a leaderboard that are very good. Those are if you're going to go down that path following people, those are the people I'd follow as well. So hopefully I answered whoever's questions. And again, those people that just scroll by chasing shiny toy after shiny toy, they'll keep spending the money and getting killed with this so-called magical trading solution. Already millions of people in trading have dropped off. And smart money traders go, wah, cry me a river, because that market will always be there, and they're going to use, as I said, on the exit, that liquidity to get out of the markets, whatever they're interested in. So Simosis asks, is the option course something we get access to and do it in your own time? Yes, you can do it in your own time. The thing is, from my learning over the years, you can do it, and you could do it on your own time. Of course, there's no live component to it. You get access to it, I think 90 days, but if you ask me, I can renew it for another 90 days. So you can essentially have it forever. The thing is, it drip feeds day by day, one by one. There's 26 steps over 26 days. That's purposely done because what I've seen is people will go through it, 10 minutes later, they're on to the next step, 10 minutes later, they're on the next step, and they don't really consume anything, and then they go, I can't learn anything, and they want their money back. So I force people to go through day by day and wait day by day for the next step. And that's a 26-day process. So that's why I do it. So what did you say before that I could not do about the 128% yearly? Again, I'm not sure what you're referring to this year, actually, yeah. What did you say before that I could do about the 128% yearly? I'm not sure what you're referring to, Miguel. I know there's a sync, and that could have been said 10, 15 minutes ago. But if you're doing well, continue doing it. As I said, we've got two examples where people got killed holding on those particular stocks. As I said, another example, IBM lost 26%. Was it yesterday? So that's all I'm saying. Whereas the options market brings you this, futures market brings you this as well. And I've already gone over it. So watch the video again if you need to understand the classic difference between forward-looking data in equity, stocks and ETF, and what you have only, versus options, which is nothing but forward-looking data. And I've also have not talked about Greek analysis as well. So this stuff goes very, very deep. And this course kind of helps you there. And a lot of the AI goes on about gamma hedging, and this is where the real quant comes in as well. 80% of the markets make money through the big firms. A lot of them will make money through the options on futures market. They make money on the currencies. Again, futures and options. Most likely, crypto will be on the CME as well. So it's everything on the CME is exactly futures and options on futures. So there's that. Hooray! We just passed 2 hours. I go on for days on end. So Tobias, welcome back. As someone with little experience with coding and programming language, but strong foundation in economic forecasting math, would the gains of learning Python be stronger or weaker because of AI? No. You want to learn Python first, as I said, using AI as a crutch. AI can help you, but you still have to be fairly competent as a Python so-called developer. The best path to go down, I would strongly say, is Python, because it's such an easy language to pick up. And of all the languages that the AI can really work best with, from my experience, is JavaScript and Python. So you're not weaker off. But at the other end, I'll give you an example where if you don't know the fundamentals of debugging, AI is not going to help you. Classic example. If you are building a trading system, let's say, or a end-to-end process, what can happen is Claude is the same way, even all the way up to Opus, the most advanced AI out there, very expensive. You will potentially, I'm not saying can happen, but from my experience, it will happen at some point. You'll write a piece of code, implement, iterate, implement, and so on. And at some point, something will break. This is where you need to have very strong both architecture, developing experience. What can happen is with AI, you can debug and say, okay, AI, fix this. Here's the code sample. Here's the error message or exception message as part of your prompt, and then feed it back in. Then it'll go in and work on the solution. The problem is you can going in circles with this stuff like a dog chasing its tail. And you could do that forever. And at some point, something has to break that chain. The only thing that will break that chain is when, let's say you step away and you go through your head from a coding perspective, high level. If you have both that architecture and debugging skill to break that chain, then you can go back into the AI as part of the debugging process and say, do this. And quite usually, your bug will eventually get fixed. But that's where you need to have the human brain based upon your coding skills to be able to break that cycle. Happens all the time. And one thing needs to be understood, happens all the time with these open source, cheaper AI. It's not that sophisticated to break that debugging cycle like a dog chasing its tail chain. You need, like even the more advanced AI, be it GLM, OpenAI, or Claude, may not break that chain. That's where you need the experience. And it also helps to have that architecture as well. So fundamentally, it's helpful to have that experience as you build out these systems, just so you know. Tobias thinks, thanks. Also, I was thinking, a little sad a little sad my current workplace puts too much effort on using Claude without having coders that can support the process. Okay, that's another problem too. Let's say you're working in an environment that only uses OpenAI, Cursor, Claude, Copilot, and that's all you have. The problem is you are going to be tied to one provider of AI. Claude Code is a great example. Claude Code only enables you to run with Claude models. If you're using something like VS Code, you can use the VS Code coding extensions. The best one for AI and AI agent that's not tied to a particular model provider like OpenAI or Anthropic only. The best one I can tell you that is also open to a lot of the Chinese ones is to use Cline. It's free. Cline. Cline. That's how I built this trading system I talked about earlier, using Cline, where I can move from a Chinese AI model to a US-based model, okay? But I'm not tied to that particular model. OpenRouter is a great supplier of all these AI. I'm constantly watching what's coming on OpenRouter as an example, and you can use that to plug into your Cline extension. The other good thing about Cline is, let's say you don't want to use Opus 4.8 or Claude Haiku 4.5. You want to use a cheaper model. Maybe same thing with OpenAI. Usually OpenRouter will keep the older models available that are meaning more affordable. So you're not forced to always be using the more expensive models and only Claude or OpenAI or whatever tool you're using. That's why I'm recommending Cline and maybe OpenRouter. Get whoever your founders are to understand that. Okay, that's all. The best thing I can recommend is to do that because you're not tied to one. You can use an open source one. You can use a heavily advanced one. And just for everybody to understand some other helpful tips. You can use, they will say, use the most expensive AI to scaffold your whole trading system or whatever system you're developing. That can be very expensive. Do the reverse. Use a cheap one like a GLM 5.2 to architect scaffold your system that you want to eventually build. With Cline, you also have an architect model or plan, that's what they call it, to scaffold and use the AI to build out an architecture. And then you could use the development part of Cline to be able to now start coding what you implement through the equivalent of pseudocode. And then depending upon your issues with debugging, you can use something like GLM 5.2, very recent, that works well and very cheap, even at debugging on a Opus 4.7 level, okay, for the cheap. And it may change, obviously, down the road. But when you get into very sophisticated problems, and Cline will tell you this, that whatever model you're using is not, quote unquote, strong enough, that's when you will be forced to start using Opus, okay? Or I'm sorry, Haiku. And that's how you have to finish off the project. Because as the project gets bigger, as it stands right now, I don't think GLM 5.2 can do it, especially if you're using it in a more sophisticated language like C++. If you're doing it with Python, you probably won't come across this problem. But if you're coming across with GLM 5.2 or another Chinese model does not work, then you have to use a more sophisticated, advanced model like Claude or something from Claude to be able to finish off the job. I hope that helps whoever out. So let me go back to these questions here. Let's see here. Okay. So we talked about your question about thanks. Also, what I was thinking, a little sad, my current workplace puts too much effort on Claude, meaning they're getting milked very expensive. And that's when you start to hear about these stories about AI is too expensive. Then they bring out the humans back. No. If they can, they should look at a Chinese AI as well, because you can continue with the job. Again, depends upon the project. I've been watched your videos these last week. Really enjoyed them. Thank you. Do you have any specific playlist focusing mostly on Python full implementation, building full trading systems, dashboards, etc.? I do have playlists. I have a Python playlist, a C++ playlist, and a JavaScript playlist. And I purposely segregate those out by playlists. So that might be the best way to go through. Also, do you still use spaces? I applied to join QuantLab's net group, but missing authentication. You're one of those too. Okay, email me personally about that issue. If you're referring to spaces, are you referring to Wix spaces or X spaces? I've never used X or Twitter spaces. If it's the so-called Wix spaces, yeah, there's some authentication problems with it. But I'll need to help you out. But get in touch with me. I'll try to help you out. Yeah, it is Wix. Wix is has its problems, but I don't know the problems until I face them. Because I've known about that, and I've just discovered some emailing things as well. People might be trying to email me from my email group, but it's going to some gobbledygook email customization thing. So I have to fix that. But regarding the Wix, get in touch with me on, you should be able to message me on Wix itself, on the quantlabsnet.com. I hope you have my primary email, and I'll be on the lookout for what you're running into to help you out. Yeah, it's the best way to help you out. Another good option is if you go onto my Substack website, theorderbook.com, you could direct message me there for contact. Somebody else did that quite effectively. So that's another way to reach out to me, like equivalent of direct messaging via Substack. So if you don't hear from me, maybe by email, yeah, use the direct messaging with Substack as well, because that's a new option. And again, that's via the website, theorderbookedge.com, and just there should be a direct message on there as well. I just don't remember my handle. It's Quant Labs or Quant Labs Net on Substack. So you can message one of those. Should be able to reach me as well. So don't think I'm trying to ignore you, or I'm just not getting your message for some reason. But just get in touch via that. And that's with anybody else that's a customer of mine. Because I do want to help, especially if you're a paying person that you deserve the support. Absolutely, 100%. As well. That's why I do these streams as well, to help out whoever's potential customer, or whatever. Okay, who else got questions? I'm 2 hours and 13. To get past this is a big deal. Another option is if you go into my forum under quantlabsnet.com/groups, if you have a profile and logged in, or you have a profile, log in there, and you should at the top see an option to direct message me that way as well on the Wix site as well. But yeah, I'll have to fix whatever. I do know that there's some accessibility problems, or what's the better word? Privileges that shouldn't be happening for paying customers. Sometimes I have to manually add people into courses when it should be automatic, so and so forth. Yeah, I will say I do like Substack much better. So there's that option as well. Anybody else got any questions or comments? I know we're doing pretty good on the questions. We've been all over the place, really, which is good. The thing I like about these kind of streams is I use an AI service that I just feed it, and it will just choose out the best shorts and short media clips that go everywhere on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, potentially LinkedIn, and TikTok even. TikTok. Anyways, thanks for your help. We'll definitely get back. Enjoying vacation on the Chill Islands. Currently, I can't wait to get back and grind your videos and implement. See ya, no problem. Have a good holiday. Just so people know, I've got my holiday booked. I won't be here. I'll be in Europe, France, Switzerland, in Austria. I'll be covering for about a month. Well, it is a month. Early September till early October. I'll be still obviously working in between certain things out of Switzerland. I may, if you are in Switzerland, like Zurich area, let me know. Hit me up. I don't mind meeting up with people to talk about. But I will be in Zurich, Switzerland, with kind of like an open schedule in that region. And hey, I might go down to Geneva as well, or Zug. I know there's some Swiss folks out there as well, and some other Europeans that may want to swing by. Yeah, so I'll be a good. I don't remember the exact number of days in the Zurich area, but I'll be in and around. Oh, Geneva's amazing. Yeah, I like Geneva. My favorite city in Switzerland's Lugano. I love Lugano. It's an amazing city, right on the water there. Oh, it's awesome. Again, everything's all expensive because when you're on the Canadian peso like I am, man, you get killed easily. Also with yeah, I'm going to Vienna. I'm also going to Paris as well, France, for 9 days. Paris is all booked, so that's for 3 nights in Paris, and I think it's 3 or 4 nights in Vienna as well. So there's potential if you're in that region as well. Let me know. Salzburg's the other area, and then zooming down to Zurich area for I believe 5 days here, French tour, back to Zurich, blah blah blah, and then flying out of Zurich as well. I don't think I'll be traveling after this mega travel bill for a while. If you guys got questions or comments, let me know. I could talk about the future plans. They may let me do that as a test, but if you got a comment, question, just type away. I'll gladly respond. Oh, we got a person. HB and Workstop, do you post on Instagram or Facebook? I do both. I don't really, yeah, I do both. I know my Instagram handle is QuantLabsNet there. Facebook, if you look up QuantLabsNet on Facebook, you see that. And my name should be on there. I do have a so-called group on Facebook, about 15,000 people that nobody does anything there. So I have that. So yeah, I have both Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'm on Twitter, X as well. There's not a lot of action on any of these social media. I'm going to be honest with you, I get more action on AI traffic than I do on social media. LinkedIn's interesting. I am on LinkedIn. I do post some unique content on there. But where I do get the best action, YouTube and Substack. Let me put it this way. For anybody out there, if you want the highbrow crowd in trading and investment, algo trading, quant, blah, 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 Substack, all the way. Number one. I'm blown away on the people on Substack. What's his name? Mohammed Al-Larian's on there. What's Ray Dalio's on Substack, Michael Burry, he's only on Substack, so on. There's some great people on Substack. I love Substack a lot. Digging it. So yeah, and I'm on that new website that just launched a few weeks ago, the orderbookedge.com. .com, which is really Substack. Any other questions or comments? Let me know. Okay, so let me talk. I can respond at any time, anywhere, anyhow you want. Just type away. Anyways, I was going to say about the future. I'm going to be getting out of the West. Okay, I got to watch what I say here on YouTube. The West, if you know you're in the West, Western country, I just don't want to say it's not a positive situation. More and more people are going to other countries, Asia. In my case, my next trip I hope to go is Panama, as well as a potential. Panama's interesting. Singapore and Malaysia is another area I'm looking at that's interesting, because I'm just checking out here. Dubai, I'd like to, but last time I checked, it was getting bombed by Iran. So once that settles, then I'd like to look at the Mideast again. But that's been exposed via that little skirmish. So I'm not 100% confident there with that as well. So anybody else got any questions or comments? We did pretty good today, folks. 2 hours, 20 minutes. If you guys got questions or comments, let me know. I don't mind dropping off. I'm very happy with the responses. Hopefully, as I encourage whoever, watch the render. Once this video is rendered, watch the whole thing. Hopefully you get something out of that, or just watch the shorts. That'll give you the highlights of this, among other. You will not see the shorts for this until probably 10 days, because there's a whole long queue of shorts that will show up before this video or stream, just so you know. So if you got questions or comments, let me know. And make sure you watch the last 2 games of the World Cup. Very exciting stuff as well. Take your time out, it's worth it. And even if you're not a fan of the sport of soccer/football, wherever you live, let me know. If you guys got comments or questions, let me know. And I don't know, we can drop off anytime. I just started off with this stream. If you've been following me for a while, now's the time. I am going to be raising prices at least 3 times in the next week or so. I have that fundamental course I talked about, the algo, the advanced futures and options. That's going up a shockingly 20 times. Okay. All my other stuff, the Substack current, that's going to go up 3 times with an additional tier on top of that. And what's the other big thing? Oh, all the HFT stuff as well may go up as well over time, as well, because the AI says, it should be at least $300. Because you know why I say all that? Because I'm going to start online marketing. Online marketing can change everything, so they say. So that's the next big step. As I said, I'm trying to get off the organic traffic route. It's becoming more and more difficult to make a go of it. Whereas instead of hitting, 100 people, I can hit thousands of people per day for very cheap right now. So we shall be trying that out. Okay, so comments, questions, let me know. We're getting into the end times on this stream. Let me know. I appreciate all the likes. I really do. If you subscribe on the channel, that's great. I'll be doing still videos on the channel. If it comes down to the point where I just do marketing, obviously I'll be doing more private videos. Obviously for hopefully a growing customer base. And there's a lot more I can do behind the scenes, because I have to watch what I say on all this social media, because it's, well, you know how it goes. So questions, comments, let me know. I've talked about a lot of stuff. I'll be back next week. Same bat time, bat channel, as I like to say. Tuesdays, 7 o'clock. And hopefully my team will win. And yeah. So let me know. Comments, questions, anything. If not, I'll just do a wrap and go in once, twice, three times that some are used to, and we'll give it a finish for tonight, a wrap. Thank you all so far. It's been excellent. Excellent questions. Okay, so let's start it. I am going to do a go in once, type away. If you've got a question or comment, I usually pause in between, make sure people catch it. Go in once. Let's see. Going twice. Going three times. Going 2.5 times. Type. Got a question or comment? Let me know. If not, going 2 3/4 times. If you don't, just come back next week. Same Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next week. Going 3 times. I guess we're done. I'm okay with that. It's almost 2.5 hours. Oh, how many hours is that options course? It saves the day. How many hours? I don't know the total amount of hours. It's going to be a lot. I have one video that's 2 hours. I have other videos that might be an hour. I like to say at least 20 hours, but it's going to be quite a bit more. It's worth it at the current price, for sure. And when you get into the nitty-gritty and the options, it's going to be a lot more. Let me know if you got any other questions, Most. The other option is you can join. What I would do is go on a Substack, okay? Go onto the website. What is the math like? There's not much math in it. The only thing that's mathy is the mention of the Black-Scholes formula. There are some other formulas like optimal hedging. There are formulas in there, but again, nothing really earth-shattering, and you can easily use something like DeepSeek to work on, because I have to admit, a lot of people, when I do surveys, everybody's coding, everybody's trading ideas, trading strategies. That's fine. Very few people actually work on the quant trading, all the formula stuff. I can start doing that with working strategies and focusing on certain algos that are part of my strategies, that are custom, that work, and put them in as part of the pseudocode, as I mentioned earlier as well. I could also put out research paper equivalent reports as well with the formulas in there. I've done that. I've tested it. Works fine. I have that capability as well. So let me know if you have any more questions for you, systemMost. What I recommend is to go on the website quantlabsnet.com. You should be able to subscribe on there. If not, I don't like giving out my feedback or my, what I just said, you can use that as the first part at quantlabs.net. That's kind of like my email, because the AI will pick that up and all the spam bots will pick it up. Best place to reach me at that should work is either through my group section, which is really like a forum, but better yet, that's easier. Go on a Substack and just look for my handle of that new website I just launched again, theorderbookedge.com. Boom. Or if you want, you can get one of my products listed below. That will take you to the hftco.com store. I'll get your order, and then I'll also get your email address. There's free products there, so you can check out as well for like some of my Bitcoin strategy, which is free. And just do that as well. So I get to know who you are, and blah, blah, blah. So hopefully I'll answer that question. So I'll go back. If you got any other questions, let me know. I'll gladly answer them. Sis. I probably got your pronunciation wrong, but that's okay. So if you guys got questions, let me know. I'll do another countdown here, because we're pretty well at 2.5 hours. That's great. Thank you very much for being part of this. If you got further questions, let me know. I'll be back on Tuesday night if you got further questions. I can hang around if you got further questions, whoever's watching or listening. But to force them out of you, going once. Type away, please. I don't care if you type a letter. Just let me know you got a question. Going twice. Okay. Going 2.5. Going 2.75. Going 2.9, 2.8. Going 2.9. Going 3 times. So I think we're done. Thank you very much. 2.5 hours. Thank you for being part of this. And according to my countdown, boom, we just made it 2.5 hours. I'll take it as a wrap. Thank you very much for being part of this. If you got a question, let me know via Substack or however means, or DM me on Twitter or whatever, Instagram. You can do that on Instagram. QuantLabsNet is my handle on Instagram. Okay, thank you very much, and we shall talk to you later. Remember, a couple days before everything skyrockets. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Have a good day, night, wherever you are. Bye-bye.